Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be starting off a little mini series here on my channel, and I'm gonna be calling it Back to Basics, which all that means is I'm gonna be making some videos and showing you step by step and explaining to you why I do these steps or how I do these steps and techniques and all that kind of stuff on the basics of makeup. So, you know, creating the base of your makeup, which would include, for me, which includes like your primer, foundation, you know, your contour, your powders, all that kind of stuff to create a flawless base. That is what I mean by like going back to basics. And then I'm going to do another video where I show you, you know, the basics of eyeshadow. Like, why do you do a transition shade? You know, what are the steps to a smoky eye or this or that? Just videos that are really like beginner friendly. Because I know there are a lot of people out there that are still like either struggling with, you know, creating that really flawless, fleeky makeup, and then there are some that don't even know how to apply their makeup or what steps they need to take. I wanted to create this video for those people who are just having a little bit of a hard time creating the makeup look that they want to do. So these videos are for you guys. So I hope you all enjoy this, and we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into it. My eyes and my eyebrows are done already because that is just going to be like a separate video in this series. So I wanted to go ahead and start off with your base. So for your base, you want to make sure that you've already done your skincare. So like your moisturizer, toner, any serums that you put on, what else? You know, eye cream, anything that you put on your lips, stuff like that. All of that goes on before you start anything with your foundation or primer, anything with your makeup application. Skin is really important for the base of your makeup, your foundation. How your skin looks is how good your makeup is gonna look and lay on top of your skin. So skincare is probably key to making your skin and your makeup look flawless and airbrushed, all of that. It really just starts at the skin. So just wanted to go ahead and put that, but that again is gonna be a different video. Okay, so after your skincare, you're gonna go ahead and go in with a primer. So some people use primers and some people don't. It just depends on your skin type or what you're comfortable with. But I like using a primer just because I do have oily skin, and I find that primers, the ones that I choose, help keep me matte throughout the day. Kind of like keeps the oils at bay. That rhymed. But it kind of keeps the oils away for as long as possible, and it just helps with the foundation laying on top of my skin just a lot smoother, a lot better. It just kind of blurs out my pores and everything, so that's why I use a primer. There's different primers for different kinds of things. I'm oily. There are primers for dry skin types, normal, mature skin, all that. So it just depends on your skin type and what you're looking for it to do. Me, I always just go with one that's going to be mattifying for my face, and one that's gonna kind of blur out my pores or just make my skin just look smooth. So the one I'm using is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. I love this because it does keep me matte, and it has it kind of just like blurs out everything and just makes everything look like so airbrushed and just flawless, so smooth. You always want to put on your primer before anything else. Again, if you want to use primer, I do recommend using primer just because it does help. In my opinion, it does help with the makeup application, but everyone has their own way of doing makeup. And I like really like pressing it into my skin, especially where my pores are and where I get oily. So my skin really soaks it up, and it creates that barrier between my skin and the makeup. Alright, so next, obviously, it's going to be foundation. Now, it does depend on, you know, what you're doing with your eye makeup. I already have it done, so it doesn't matter if I do my foundation right now or afterwards. Depending on the eye look that you're going for, like let's say you're working with glitters or really dark smoky colors or anything like that, I would always just do my eyes first just so I can clean up anything, especially if glitter falls down. It's really hard to like get it off foundation. But for this look, obviously, I'm just going to go ahead and apply it now. Those are the only times really I would apply my foundation after was if I'm doing a really complicated look on my eyes or something and I'm afraid of getting it messed up or whatever, and I don't want any fallout on my cheeks or just any kind of mess under there, because it's really hard to fix once you already have makeup on or once you already have foundation on. So I'm just using my All Hours foundation from YSL. I just go ahead and pump it right onto my skin, and then I go ahead and blend in my foundation. The way I do it, and the foundation brush that I'm using, which is my favorite kind of brushes, is from IT Cosmetics from Ulta, and it's the Airbrush Blurring Foundation number 101 from the line. And it's got like a flat dome kind of kabuki brush. I don't know, it's just, I really like these kind. I don't like it to be like, you know, completely cut straight. I feel like this makes it a lot more blurred and doesn't leave any lines or streaks or anything like that. And how I apply my foundation, I don't really like, you know, swirl it into my skin like that, because honestly I feel like it's not really giving you any coverage, and I feel like it's just gonna leave you more streaky. What I do is kind of like, you know, dab it in using my brush. And I kind of do like downward strokes, especially if you, which most people do, obviously everybody has peach fuzz. If you were to like blend upwards, it's just gonna make your foundation kind of look weird, because it's gonna make those hairs like go sticking up. So if you're blending downwards like I am, it's kind of like a pat and I don't know, not slide, but like it's kind of like I'm patting downwards a little bit, and that's gonna lay the hairs down, so it gives your face a really smooth finish. And another thing is, when you're applying your foundation, I see this all the time, and I don't know why people are still doing this, because I know a lot of people have gotten so good at doing makeup. I mean, I see a lot of girls that kind of just stop their foundation right here, because that's where the face is. And that kind of makes sense, obviously foundation is for your face. I see a lot of girls that just kind of stop right here, and then, you know, they leave it like that, and I will see the line right there. So I will see the line where their foundation stops and where their natural color is from their neck. And you do not want to do that, because it's not a cute look. I don't know why people still are doing that, or they don't think to check that or whatever, but you always want to take your foundation and blend it downwards, down your neck a little bit, just so you don't have that distinct line, so everything blends down, especially if your neck and your face are a little bit different colors. That will really help to make everything look blended and look natural and not like out of place. There are some people who take it as far as like blending it all over their neck and then their chest. I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. Okay, now that the foundation is on, the next step is concealer. Okay, so before we move on to the next step, I just wanted to put in another little tip about foundation. So when you are buying foundation or picking out a shade that is going to work for you, you want to take into consideration like what your body color is, because your face is going to match your body. I know, like I was saying earlier, my neck does not match my face or my like arms or the rest of my body, just because it hardly ever gets any sun, or it's not tan like the rest of my body is. So I don't really like matching my matching my foundation to my neck, just because it is gonna kind of look a little weird compared to the rest of my body. So I will go between like something between a shade that is what my arm and my legs are kind of, and then what my face and neck are naturally, without any foundation or anything like that, just so it will kind of have a nice balance between the two. That's one thing about picking a shade for you that's going to work for you. The other thing is making sure the undertone of the foundation matches your undertone. So you could have like a golden undertone, a peachy undertone, pinky undertone, and like a yellow undertone, olive undertone, like a red. Some of these, like for me, I have more of a yellow undertone, but I stick to more like neutral shades of foundations, just because if I choose something that's more yellow, it's gonna make me look like it's kind of off and make my skin look like it's more pink. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I always choose a neutral shade foundation. But there are shades where it's more yellow toned, and then there's shades where there's like more pink tone, and as you get darker, like deep skin tones, they have like red undertones. So that's why I say, like, you know, red undertones for them. And then for really pale skin tones, they have more pink undertones instead of yellow or olive or anything like that. So that's why skin tone, or the undertones of your skin, is really going to play a big part in how well your foundation matches your face, your body, all of that. So the good thing is you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. If you go to a Sephora or an Ulta, they will help match your shade, match your skin tone to a shade that works for it. Now, sometimes I feel like they don't get it right. Sometimes they do, but they have a little machine that works and it should be pretty good. What I like to do is they'll recommend me a shade in a brand that I haven't got before, and I will make them put it onto like my cheek right here or my jaw, and I will go like to where they have like a natural light or anything and see what it looks like, because in the natural light it could look completely different than from just in-store lights from the ceiling. So I always make sure to go to a window or somewhere that has like natural lighting to see how it's gonna look outside, because that's where it really matters, honestly. So concealer is the next step. I'm taking my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in light neutral. For the shade that you want to use for your concealer, it just depends on your preference. Some people like a really bright under eye and some people like more of a natural under eye. You're highlighting your under eyes and the other points of your skin, and highlighting just means you're kind of bringing it forward. I like to go either 2 shades lighter or 1 shade lighter than my natural skin tone so that I can actually see it. On more light or on more natural days, I go for something that is a little closer to my skin tone but still light enough where it's going to brighten up my under eyes and make me look awake and bright, all that kind of stuff. But this one is about 2 shades lighter than my natural skin tone. So for your under eyes, it's pretty simple. What I like to just stick by is doing 2 upside down triangles, and that's what works for me. So I will go ahead and just make lines like that. I've seen where some people just kind of do dots like right under the eye or where the hollow of the eye is, but that to me doesn't look right, especially when you blend it out, because it's just centered right there. You will definitely be able to see where the concealer, you know, begins and ends, and where your foundation kind of begins and ends. It doesn't look, it kind of gives the effect of like raccoon eyes, but you know, opposite. Instead of like dark, it's like lighter. You'll definitely have like that shadow or like that white cast if you just do it right there. That's why doing an upside down triangle like this, where it's kind of like going onto your cheeks and stuff, is gonna make it really blended, and you're not gonna be able to tell that you put concealer just under your eye. It's gonna brighten up this whole area right here and make it look more natural than if you were to just do the dots right here, and you would definitely be able to see where you put concealer. So that's for the under eyes. And then I like to go ahead and highlight the rest of my face, which would be the high points or the points that I want to bring forward on my face. And that is gonna be the chin, like right here in my Cupid's bow, the bridge of my nose, and then my forehead. And what this does, if you were to only just do the under eyes, I feel like the rest of your face would look really flat and it wouldn't look natural, in my opinion. And by doing the highlighting down the nose, on the forehead, Cupid's bow, and chin, it's really just gonna balance out your face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that out. And the brush I'm using is Morphe M536. And again, I'm just blending it out kind of by like tapping it in, pressing it in, blending it out. I don't like swirling it around or moving it all over the skin, just because I feel like that's going to move the product around instead of putting it in the place that you want it to be. And you really want to bring it all the way in to this inner corner to brighten it up. So as you can see, it's brighter right here, but it gradually goes into my natural skin tone color, or the foundation color, instead of you just being able to see a noticeable like little circle right here between my foundation and my concealer. And then just blending it on the nose and the forehead. So for me, because I am oily, I don't really tend to use any cream products. But if you were to use cream products like cream bronzer or like cream blush or anything like that, now would be the time to do it before you go ahead and set your makeup. You would go ahead and just like use your cream, blend it out, all that kind of stuff. You would use all the creams first, and then you would go ahead and add the powders afterwards. You cannot do cream after powder. It would just get really muddy and really messy. It would not be cute. So I just wanted to add that tip in there just because I know some people do like using cream products. I don't, so that's why I'm not using it in this video, but just for those that do, I just wanted to give that tip for them. Now that we went ahead and done our concealer and our foundation, it's time to set everything and keep so that it locks it in place and it doesn't move throughout the day. I also set my makeup just because I am oily and it helps. The powders do help keep the oil down. So I'm just taking my Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I love this stuff. I just got it during the Sephora VIB sale or whatever a couple weeks ago, and it's been amazing. It is pricey, and I'm just using a Morphe E48. This is my favorite, especially to set under the eyes, but I go ahead and set the whole face with this too. You're gonna go ahead and set the under eyes. I always like to do the under eyes first just because I do have like wrinkles under my eyes. So if I don't set it quickly after, so if I don't set it right after I have blended out all my concealer, then those creases are just gonna stay there and it's just not gonna look cute. So I always go in and set my under eyes first, and I really kind of just press it in there and then go ahead and use the excess and set everything else. And I go ahead and set the rest of my face with the same powder because it is a translucent powder. It doesn't matter where you use it. You can use it under your eyes and the rest of your face. There's not really any color to this powder. All right, so the next step after you've set all of your base, you're gonna go ahead and contour or bronze. To me, it goes the same thing. I don't really like to contour too much. I usually just use a bronzer to make it more like natural, but I will show you what you need to do if you're gonna contour. So I'm taking my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. Okay, so a tip for choosing a contour shade to contour your face: you don't want to use anything that's too orange or too red toned, and you don't want to use anything that's too cool toned, like really ashy or gray tone. The point of a contour is to make it look like you have a shadow right there. So anything that's really orangey or anything like that is not gonna do what it's supposed to do. It's just gonna make you look really bronze and sun-kissed. It's not really gonna have the effect of like sucking in your face. So that is why you want to pick a shade for contour that is more on like the neutral side, not warm, but it's not too cool tone either, because the too cool tone shade is gonna make it look just really muddy and messy, and it's not gonna look clean and really like chisel your face out. That is just one of my tips for choosing the correct shade for when you want to contour. And I like this one just because it's not too warm and it's not too cool. It's a really good shade. So the brush I'm going to be using is the MAC 108, I think, but it is just this angled, I think it's like a blush brush, but it's like this angled brush right here. And that is really good for really getting into where the hollows of your cheeks are. So for contouring, you pretty much want to start from where the top of your ear is and go down to where the corner of your mouth is. So that is where you're gonna go ahead and put the contour shade at. That's where you're gonna go ahead and place the contour shade. Or you could just go ahead and feel where your cheeks are, and you wanna go right under it. What really helps too is by making this face kind of like a fishy face or something, but kind of like sucking in your cheeks. And you're gonna go ahead and first like place it where you want to, and then we're gonna go ahead and blend. And when we blend, we're gonna be blending upwards, because if you blend down, it's not even gonna have the effect that you want it to, which is to chisel out your cheekbones and make them really defined. You see that line? And then we're gonna go ahead and blend upwards, so it's not just a line right there. So if you can see the difference between this cheek and this cheek. Over here, I have more of a defined look going on. My cheeks kind of look more prominent, defined or whatever. And this looks kind of more sunken in, sucked in, whatever you want to call it. But it looks like there's a shadow right there. So my face doesn't look as, I guess, like fat, like or whatever, as it does on this side. I feel like my face is really round, so that's why I say fat. But yeah, you can definitely see the difference between this side and this side. And then we're gonna go ahead, and you don't have to do this part, but I like to do it just because I do have like a double chin and I hate it. But I like to go ahead and run the bronzer or contour shade right here where my jawline is, and then kind of like blend it down a little bit so that it creates a defined jaw, which I need all the help I can get. But I always blend down. I don't really blend up. I blend down. And I don't add too much. Like that. For your forehead, depending on if you have a big forehead or a shallow forehead, if you have a shallow forehead or like you don't have a lot of space on your forehead, I definitely would just skip this part. But if you have a big forehead, I feel like I have more of a bigger forehead. It's not huge or whatever, but I feel like I have a bigger forehead, so I like to contour it a little bit. I contour it right here so that it kind of gives the illusion of a smaller forehead. So that is just a little trick. If you have a big forehead, or if you think you have a big forehead and you want it to look a little bit smaller, you can go ahead and do that by contouring. And then what I like to do is kind of connect the forehead, and you always want to like go on the temple as well. And I like to connect the forehead with the cheekbone contour. And then I will also go ahead and connect the cheekbone to the jawline, just so it doesn't look weird and looks more natural. So this side is contoured and this side is not. Can you see the difference? This side just looks more defined, has more depth to it, like more dimension. This side, it kind of just looks flat, pretty much, and it doesn't look defined. I look pretty chubby on this side. Yeah, so that is what contour does for you. Now contouring is done. The next step is highlighting, or for me, the next step is highlighting. I like highlighting before blush just because I don't want to see like a distinct line between my highlight and my blush. I feel like adding my highlight first and then putting my blush and kind of like blending it into where my highlight is gonna make it look more natural, and just everything's so much more blended. So that's why I do highlight first. I'm just taking my Jouer powder highlighter in Skinny Dip, and I'm taking it on a M501 brush. My favorite brush to highlight with. I just like it because it really concentrates where you're placing it, instead of like a fan or a little bit of a bigger brush than this, where it's just gonna pretty much go all over. With this, it can really be specific where I want it to be. So what I like to do is I like to smile a little bit, and pretty much this is the same thing with what I do for where I want to put my blush. But for my highlight, you always want to put it right here at the top of your cheekbones. So for me, it's like right here. I don't ever like putting it right here just because my pores are bigger right here, and I feel like that will just accentuate it. So I always put it right here where the light is going to hit it anyways. So I like patting it on there first, so I get it most concentrated in that area. So it really, really stands out. I like my highlight to be really, really bright, like blinding. If you don't like it, then if you don't like it to be blinding, or if you're wanting a more natural look, then you can always go with a lighter hand or just a highlighter that's more natural than this. That's not as bright as it's going to be. That's not as bright as this one either. There are other highlighters, or you know, just use a light hand. You don't have to put so much like I am, but I go ahead and pat it on right here where I want it, and then I will slowly kind of do in circular motions, just blend out the edges so it's not just like that one little circle on my face. Bam, that's bright. So because I'm oily, I usually just stick to putting highlight right here on my cheekbones, just because that's an area where I don't really get oily. Other people with drier skin or normal skin, they can highlight the bridge of their nose. So I mean, most people would take their finger and just dip it into their little highlighter and pat it right here. And I love the look. I will do that though. I love the look of a little highlighted pointed nose right here. I do contour my nose, but I want to do that one in a separate video. Just not this one. I want to do like that one, and maybe like the baking in a separate video. So if you want to see that, then leave a comment down below or give this video a thumbs up. But I take my finger and press it into the highlighter, and I will just put this right at the tip of my nose. I don't know why, but I love that look. And you know what the heck, I'm just gonna go ahead and highlight my nose. It's whatever, I don't got anywhere to be. But normally if I was going out, or if I was starting my day and doing my makeup all that, I would not be putting so much highlight on my nose because I do get oily around my nose. But just to show y'all how y'all can highlight, And other people do like to highlight their chin. They like to highlight their Cupid's bow, which I will go ahead and show you. And they will go ahead and highlight above the brow too. Which I love the look of all of this. I just cannot do it every day or for normal days just because I'm so oily, and if I were to do that, I would just look like a real big grease ball by the end of the day. And I don't need to add any highlight because honestly my face is gonna go ahead and produce the oils and make it look highlighty anyway, but not in an attractive way. So that is what I do for highlighting. For the last step of this whole face how-to basics tutorial is blush. And I already mentioned why I like doing blush last, just because I feel like it blends everything together, makes it look seamless, and you can't tell where one ends and one begins. So my favorite brushes to use are like angled blush brushes. This one is from Sephora. It's the Pro Angled Blush Brush number 49. And the blush I'm using is the Warm Soul Mineralized Blush by MAC. This is an OG. This is a staple. If you don't have this, then you need to get it. So for your blush, where I like to place it is like right on the apples of my cheeks, and to figure out where that is, I just go ahead and smile. And this is where I'm gonna place it, right here. Because I am oily too, a lot of the stuff that I put on my face kind of tends to, I don't know what to say, like fade or wear out. So I can put on a lot of blush or a lot of contour and it won't look that extreme or like a clown face. It'll die down, so that is why I can put a lot. Most people can't, but if you're oily, you know what I'm talking about. Like my face just kind of like eats the product off my face. I have no idea why. I don't know what it does. I don't know how, but it does. So I can put on a lot of blush and look fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and smile and then place it right there. And I just like to tap it in. I don't like to swirl it because again, I feel like that's just gonna move all the product that we've already placed on our face. And then I will go ahead and start taking it back. And I'm using very light strokes. I don't want to move any of the product. And I kind of want to build up how much pigment I want on my cheeks. Okay, I just finished off my under eyes and put on some lipstick just to complete the look. And that's it. So these are the steps that I take to get my perfect, like flawless foundation, or just my base, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but my face, those are the steps that I take to get it to look like how it does right now. It looks smooth, everything looks blended, it doesn't look too cakey, anything like that. So I just really wanted to make a video where I'm explaining what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, why I chose this product, or how to choose like your foundation shade, how to choose a shade to contour with, you know, blending down your neck. I just wanted to give all the tips that I know to create a nice, flawless looking base. And I hope I explained everything good enough for y'all to follow along, or that it makes sense to y'all, because I'm not the best talker, but I did try. I don't think it was too complicated. But those are just the steps that I take. I know I do my videos with my makeup tutorials and I don't really explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, or, you know, how I'm doing it, the techniques that I use. So I really wanted to make a video that revolves around just like the basics of makeup, because you have to learn the basics to move on to complicated looks or just different looks that you want to try out. You always need to learn your basics first and then move forward from there. So I feel like this is just going to really help those of you who are needing a little help with applying your foundation or picking out the right shade, or if you're just a beginner, this is the video for you. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing more. I think the series is going to be called Back to Basics, and this is just the first one. The next one I'm probably going to do is like eyeshadows, and then probably one for like nose contouring or like baking, stuff like that. So if you want to see more, definitely subscribe and like this video. Comment what you want to see, or if you're a beginner and you have questions, leave it down below. I would love to answer any questions in my next videos. But other than that, I think that's about it. So I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.